I was wondering if I could take some pictures for you guys, free, no cost. You ready? I would be lying if I said that I don't have too many cameras. I love cameras, but recently I found a guy that has way more cameras than I could ever imagine. See, my collection comes from curiosity and his comes from commitment. And that commitment revolves around one of the weirdest digital cameras ever made. Meet the man with what is probably the largest collection of Sony Mavica cameras on the planet. I almost felt guilty showing up to his house just to buy one. But maybe my fascination with this camera is the same feeling he had one day. I doubt it though, because I'm spoiled by speed, and this feels like the first digital camera to ever exist. Today we're talking about the Sony Mavica FD200. We'll look at its features and go over some sample photos. Let's get into it. Everything about this camera is slow. Turning it on, taking photos, viewing them, deleting them, autofocus, even the menus. It's slow at everything except floppy disk removal. It's got most modern cameras beat in that department. A while back, I discovered a variant of this camera on YouTube. I was piqued because I wanted that Y2K nostalgic digital look. I started searching on eBay, and then one night while on Facebook, I saw this. Boxes on boxes of Sony Mavica cameras. Basically dozens of every model preserved in boxes, and the asking price wasn't too bad. I reached out to the guy. I'm always hesitant to reach out to Facebook listings from users with no photos, but he responded pretty quickly and seemed like a nice guy. We had to reschedule a few times because of snow, but finally, I got to check out this crazy collection. In situations like this, I almost always bring extra cash because when you have this many cameras, there's bound to be deals. Unfortunately, John declined an interview, but he let me get a few shots of his collection and also this bizarre car he owns. He introduced me to his wife and showed me a few other cameras he owns. I even got to see their family of exotic ducks. Yes, they have ducks. No, I didn't get any pictures of it. He told me that he bought the very first Mavica when it came out. Now, coming from a medium format camera, he was blown away by this technology. Shortly after buying the first model, he then purchased the next model. And before he knew it, he was buying every model that hit the Mavica market. He would set up eBay alerts and purchase all the Mavica cameras he could find. They had to be brand new though. Every manual, charging cable, plastic bag, cardboard insert, everything. He would look through it all, and if it was incomplete, he would send it back to the seller. And I asked him why he ended up collecting hundreds of these cameras, and he simply said, "At one point, I thought these cameras would be worth their weight in gold. So I bought up every one I could find." And now he's selling each one for only like 30 bucks, and he's got a lot of inventory. And I gotta add, I struggled to find an accurate retail price for when these cameras came out. But somebody commented on my YouTube and told me that these things were like 700 bucks when they were released. Like, John, how much of an investment do you have? Seriously. This camera is absolutely wild though. The shape reminds me of one of those hideous, like Instamatic cameras or whatever. The ergonomics are good, the menus are simple, the live feed has no lag, and the buttons and switches feel very premium. It has this very interesting viewing screen that can be backlit or sunlit. This little strip at the top gathers light and then illuminates the screen. Sony, you have to bring this to your mirrorless cameras, like ASAP. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. The FD200 sports a 3x optical zoom with a 6.4 to 19.2 millimeter zoom lens, and it has a filter thread, so you could, in theory, use a combination of step-up rings, throw a CPL, VND, or mist filter on this bad boy. I love putting in and removing the floppy disks. This model has dual media. Basically, Sony made an elongated SD card that could store more photos than the floppy disk, but I opted out of that investment because I actually like the sound of it writing to floppy. Now, in order to actually look at these pictures on your computer, you have to get one of these. I got this floppy disk on Amazon. It was plug and play. It was like 2-day shipping. Basically, pop it in there, and it works. No issues. I didn't need any drivers or anything. Now, the data transfer is extremely slow, but that's just how it is with this type of technology. At full resolution, a single floppy disk can hold 4 photos. Yes, 4. I said 4. Here's a full resolution shot at the best quality, plopped on a 4K timeline. I wanted to see how this camera performed when placed in an aggressive scenario, like fully zoomed in with lots of movement.
Can I take a picture of you? Let me take a picture! Yo!
That was so many geese, and they did not want me to take their picture. I think I got one though. One side note, I stepped in geese shit, so I'm pretty upset about that one, but we filled the disc. I also wanted to test this camera in a social setting.
Hey, what's up guys, how you doing? Good. So I'm a photographer. Wondering if I could take some pictures for you guys. Was just trying to build out my portfolio to work with like businesses. You ready?
Which one is the first?
You wanna like hold something out, I can get a shot? There you go. Say that again?
Is it like this one?
Yeah, that's beautiful. What is that called?
A boardwalk?
Huh?
Like
Come again?
Upside down?
Upside down. Oh, an upside down pizza. Very cool. Oh, you know what? My card's full. I gotta switch it out. Wow. All right. See ya.
And I wanted to test one last principle. It's not about the camera, it's about the scale of the user. So I set up some professional lighting and plopped this goofy camera on a tripod. Let's see if we can take a beautiful photo. Now, what's not to like about this camera? Well, there's a lot to not like about this camera. At the lowest resolution setting, it can hold 31 pictures on a floppy disk. Mind you, that resolution is virtually useless by today's standards. Like, it would literally look like this big on your phone. So if you want to take like Y2K digital grunge core pictures, you're gonna have to use the highest resolution setting, which nets you 4 photos. Also, the write speed on floppy disks is so slow that it almost crashed my computer. Mind you, I edit 4K timelines on my computer, but when I throw a floppy disk in that little floppy drive and then open the floppy drive on my computer has a freaking heart attack. Copying files, moving files, it all feels very unstable. Is this a cool camera? Yes. Will I ever use it again? No. I might use it for like a funny skit or something, or a prop, but this is just essentially a piece of history. It's not practical anymore. So do with that what you want. That's how I feel about the camera. I think there's tons of other options out there that give you better results, but I guess it's a necessary invention in the camera space to kind of evolve from film to where we are today. So, just my 2 cents. Now, why do cameras like this still matter?
I think that more and more people are actually chasing that kind of analog feel. I honestly think that more analog features are gonna come back to computers and cameras and cell phones and even cars in the consumer market. Because I don't know about you, but I'm sick of like the haptic touch and the touch ID and touch screens and hand gesture movements for stuff. Like, have you ever ripped an e-brake? The new cars have this little like, it's terrible. It's not an e-brake. It's like you're parked and you want to make sure your car doesn't coast down the hill brake. It's not an emergency anymore. If you tried to yank that thing at 40 miles an hour, it's probably not going to do anything. But seriously, back in the day, everything was analog. And I think this analogless lifestyle might bite us in the butt at some point. Maybe I just want to take a floppy disk and pop it in there. And look, boom, pop it in there. I mean, that's, I don't know, something about that feels good. Maybe our hand-eye coordination is suffering. I don't know. That's for another video. But anyways, thanks for checking out this video. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing. These videos are very hard work. And if you have any camera suggestions, topics, comments, drop them in the comment section. I will check them out. I will respond to each and every one of you. Thank you, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.